Yeah, I just think, I mean, he played left tackle in the spring as well. You know, we've made a big emphasis, something that we believe in on primary and secondary positions, and that's a good example of that. He's bounced at tackle, he's played guard. I think what you see up front, we're doing that with a lot. Nothing's set in stone. We have a lot of versatility. We do have some depth, but we've got to be able to perform at a high level on the spot that we settle into, and that's what we got to figure out this week, and we got to figure it out fast.
How deep are you right
I mean, you feel good about a number of guys. I don't want to put a number on it. There's guys competing. I don't think we're, this week's going to be a big week in concerns like who's going to roll out there and who are the guys. I think that's going to be ever evolving. But I feel good about the versatility we have. But like you've got to, at some point we've got to be able to line up and say like, hey, I can trust a left tackle. I can trust a right tackle. I can trust a right guard. Like moving around's great, but we've got to start honing in now.
What have you seen Austin do this offseason that's just enabled him to make the jump that he has?
I think just his work ethic, his leadership, those two things. I mean, coming out of the summer and the spring with some of the things that he did with Coach Mick in the weight room, you see those things translating on the field. He's always been a powerful, athletic guy. We've got to get him to play within his technique better. But you can see the things that he generated in the weight room and the leadership and kind of the edge that he brings. You can see that showing up on the field.
The competition between Philip Daniels and Ethan Onwine, there's a movement to different spots.
Yeah.
But, how close is that? If it comes on to them at right tackle, how close is that, Tyler?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's I think a lot of times we look at things very linear. I wouldn't say it's that linear, and that goes back to my first comment. There is some depth, and certainly those two guys are a part of it. But we got to start honing in on where guys can help us and play at an elite level. And those are just two examples. So I don't know if it's just a battle between them. I think we've still got ever evolving battles within the group with guys that can play tackle, play guard. We can mix things around, but we got to figure out that combination of the best five pretty quick.
What stands out about those two, Philip, and those two transfers that Philip?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Ethan, big, powerful guy. He's been repping at both his primary and secondary on the left side, right side, interior, exterior. Phil's more of a tackle. Brings some power. We've got to get him playing with Ben better, things like that. But he's got some length on the edge. Those are the two things that I've seen from those guys. Great dudes come out and work. They picked up things really well, and we got to continue getting them going in that direction.
How has Ethan's weight loss, I guess, kind of changed the way that changed some of the things he can do out there?
Yeah, I mean, you see it in the way he moves. He's just a leaner, more in shape guy. I wasn't here when he first got here, when he first showed up on campus. I probably got to see a little bit more of the finished product of that as we went in the spring. But he did a lot with his body, and you see it show up every day. Just his stamina, I think, is the biggest thing I see.
Has he been able to maintain the power aspect of his game in a way that you think is satisfactory when he's playing? I think he's like 30 pounds lighter than he was playing.
No, I do. I mean, he's still got a lot of lean muscle mass, so you see that show up when he's anchoring, things like that. We just got to continue getting him better technically, good understanding, playing with his eyes, and that could go for all the guys.
In the spring, it looked like Phil was a little, not behind, but with Austin and Ethan there. Where have you seen Phil take the biggest leap in his progression through the summer and then into the training camp?
Yeah, I think just acclimating to the culture. That's a big deal for any guy that's coming into this program, whether you're a freshman or a transfer. You see some more flexibility. I think he worked. Diligently on his hip and ankle flexibility, which was a big point of focus. We got to continue keeping that going, and you see it in pass pro just with his length and his bend and being able to protect on the edge. He's doing some nice things at times.
All of the guys that we talked to kind of talk about his mean streak, and they say he's a dog. But where do you see that show up as a coach?
I see it show up all the time. But the big thing with him is he's learned to be a really good practice player. We've got to be able to play with an edge, and we want it to, make no mistake. We want to do that. We will do that up front. But there's a time and a place for it, and I think he's really learned coming here how to practice, how to protect your teammates and still get your work done.
Tyler, how set is the middle three? Are your guards and your center? I mean, obviously a lot of talk about tackles, but how comfortable are you with Luke, Carson, Tegra, or is there wiggle room in there still as you look with 2 weeks left?
Well, I think that's where you have some depth as well, whether that's Ethan, transitioning in there and getting reps. Josh Padilla is a guy that's doing a nice job. He just keeps getting better and better. So I wouldn't say anything's set yet. It's all still a work in progress. Obviously, guys, you guys see them. They're repping at certain positions, and some guys are bouncing around a little more than others. But this is a big week, coming out of this week. A lot of practices. We should have a better idea after their grades on kind of what direction we're trending, and we got to do that quick because I'd say it, like it's great to have all this depth. You know, that's great. There's depth. There's guys that can play in a game, but like what 5 guys, what 6 guys, what 7 guys are going to rotate in that game and play at an elite level, at a level that Ohio State, that's Ohio State standard.
How much in the rotation?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We're not there yet. I'm not ready to answer that question.
Are you opposed to that?
Certainly been a part of doing it before. It all depends on your group, right? If guys, it really comes down to the guys deserve to be in the game. If guys deserve to be in the game and they've earned that right, then there's a chance to rotate. If you haven't, then you haven't.
How close are you, do you think, to having 4 tackles who could be in the game?
I think we're closer. You know, it's still a work in progress, but I think we're closer.
With Ethan, he's been a career tackle. I know you guys are cross-training guys at different positions. What about his skill set when you guys were choosing to maybe rep him at guard at all? Did you see that maybe he could be a fit in there given his size?
Yeah, I mean, you look at him, right? He's a big, powerful guy. You know, he can move people. I think one of his big strengths is in the run game, like being able to create movement. So it's been fun to see him get in there. He's getting a little more comfortable, learning it a little bit better. And, you know, the other thing, too, is getting him on the right side, you know, and getting him in a different spot. He played on the right side at Rice for the 2 years prior to moving to left. So that's something that, you know, he's looked good. And you know, he's a guy that's got some flexibility for us.
Tyler, when you think about the primary and secondary stuff that you mentioned, how many reps does a guy need at the primary, and how many do you want them to have at the secondary?
That's a good question. I think a lot of the secondary work starts off when you're in summer, when we're in our OTAs, when we're in spring, being able to be a little more flexible. When you're getting down to the wire here in fall camp, we're a little bit more primary, and then some guys are repping secondary to give them opportunity to compete and take a job, or to provide flexibility for us for depth. I don't know. I don't have a number on that, though. Yeah.
It might be different for everybody.
Yeah, I try to keep count of the reps of what we're doing at each position, and you know, move things around on a day-to-day basis from there. If you watch how we practice, you know, we'll have different guys, you know, repping with each group depending on the team period. You know, we might have a guy bump within a team period, so that's all things we're mindful of, and we make sure to prepare them. You know, you want to be in a position where you can go out on a day and put a guy in a spot, and hey, this day he's going to play this spot. He can kind of mentally soak into it and be ready to go.
Tyler, what's the next step for Ian in his development?
Yeah, I think Ian's come a long way. To me, it's play strength right now. You know, he's got to continue playing with better play strength. He's a really athletic guy. He's picking up things well. He's smart. He's going hard. But just continue to see him be really firm when it comes to protection in the run game. And I think he's starting to translate some of the things that he showed on the weight room on the field.
Tyler, 2 more questions. Tyler, what have been your initial impressions of those 3 freshmen with Jake and Carter and Javon, kind of just what they've done through a few weeks?
Yeah, I think they're progressing. You know, Jake's done a great job. He's dependable. I think he's picked up things really well. Javon was having some really good practices here, and then Carter has done a nice job. Carter's still got to get stronger up top. You know, J Mac, he's got to continue gaining some weight. And Jake, you know, he's got to continue improving his athleticism. But I think I like all 3 of those guys. They come in, work well every day. They've been a welcome add.
Tyler, Carson and Luke last year didn't play for much of the year. Then
Right.
also played well during the postseason. What strides have you seen them continue to take from there? Obviously, you here last year.
Yeah, I think just trying to become technicians. You know, I think once you play significant snaps in games, and especially the games they played in, they know what it takes to be ready at a high level. You know, and I think they self-reflect and think, was I ready to play at my highest level, or is there more in the tank? And I think they both tell you there's more in the tank. So just how they've approached, you know, not only in the weight room, not only in agility and all the things that they do, but how they've approached our technique. You see it showing up every day. You know, that's what we're always looking for. The drills that we're doing, are they translating to the field? If they're not, I've got to go back to the drawing board and figure out a way to reach them. But you see those things showing up with both of those guys, and they're working hard at it.
Great. Coach, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Yep.